Yeah, well, that just about sums up this episode. Welcome Darkwing fanatics and all, cause boy do we have tons to cover. I told you it would happen, and here we are, ladies and gents. It's the Darkwing 1 hour special so fantastic that they decided to take out the introduction as a whole. I'm sure that most of you are just as excited as I am, but then again, I am the one with all these tabs open researching all these references within this episode, so my excitement to finally show you all this video probably supersedes however you may be feeling. But with all these introductions and slight gags out of the way, let us begin our excruciatingly long analysis of Let's Get Dangerous. It all starts off with Scrooge, Launchpad, and the triplets driving their way back over to St. Canard in order for Scrooge to consult with a man named Bulba, who claims to have a massive project on the way that is set to change the world. During their trip to the lab, however, Bradford is on a web call with Scrooge asking him to instead not waste his time and turn back due to the researching facility supposedly having reports of much failure, which was mainly to get Scrooge to avoid potentially catching him working with Bulba, though I guess it wouldn't be too far from the truth as a magazine for Bulba foreshadows his very personality and motives, showing just how full of bull he really is. You know, not just because he's a literal bull, but also to express just how much of a swine he truly is. Also, during their drive to St. Canard, Dewey and Launchpad dumbfoundingly point out the obvious about Darkwing's identity in less than a minute flat.
Why would Launchpad's weird buddy boost your ratings?
I don't know. He's just a real super guy.
Yeah, when the chips are down, he really knows how to get dangerous. So this Drake guy is Darkwing Duck.
What? No!
Nice.
You're so good at secrets.
At least with Fenton, Huey's way of trying to suppress Gizmo Duck's identity wasn't this horribly executed. So everyone soon meets up with Bulba, who has a noticeably similar appearance to Kingpin's design and even personality in certain aspects. And so they enter inside the laboratory to be presented with the supposed saving grace of the Earth called the Ramrod, something that claimed to be able to bring things into their world out of nothing. They test the machine by teleporting in some haggis, which is something that apparently is one of Scrooge's favorite foods. It would only make sense due to its Scottish origin, but dear lord, the ingredients are just downright unforgivable. Dare I say them out loud. But switching back to Dewey and Launchpad, they both make their way up to an abandoned tower where the reveal of Darkwing's hideout is finally shown. And the most ironic thing about the hideout is how most of the tech inside was provided by Fenton, and he covers his identity to Darkwing by stating that he hates Gizmo Duck as well. And Launchpad and Dewey's reaction to this is priceless. The awareness is real. While inside the hideout, they also learn the darndest thing about St. Canard, which is that unlike the show, crime rates have been swept clean, as it's told by the smart aleck computer Wanda, who was one of my favorite characters of the entire premiere due to her incredible sarcasm throughout.
Computer, are you sure?
Sorry, which of us is a sophisticated auto-intelligence? Oh, right, it's me, the big computer. There's no crime.
By the way, fun fact, the voice actress who voices her surprisingly isn't the same one known for voicing Magica De Spell, but instead Gandra D. Just wanted to mention that to anyone else who may have been curious. Now, another great thing to see in this show was Allison as the mayor of St. Canard after her horrific experiences working with stubborn trillionaires, and judging by the lack of crime, she obviously has done a tremendous job. Despite this, however, they still go outside to monitor the city, but only to drop down on a team of moving workers. However, they do end up stumbling upon a young girl revealed to be Goslin as she breaks inside of the lab that surprisingly doesn't have any security whatsoever, even though it's clearly owned by Scrooge, who has a full security system at his mansion. I understand that I'm more than likely thinking too hard about it, but it could have also been due to the minimal amount of crime in that area, so Scrooge didn't feel the need to invest in security equipment for the large complex. Anyways, Goslin attempts to activate the Ramrod. As it's revealed by her, Bulba isn't the man he claims to be, both personality-wise and intelligence-wise, as he is not the inventor of the machine. Instead, after some inspection by Huey, he realizes a pattern that looks familiar to a mad thinker by the name of Salego, another reptilian, but this time within the Darkwing universe that originally found a way to become practically immortal. And he also was an enemy of other main protagonists in different universes as well. Talking about a reputation. Back to the episode, even though Goslin escapes before she's noticed, Launchpad and the other two don't. Bulba doesn't rat them out, but decides to instead try to win over Darkwing and the gang by giving them media attention and offering Darkwing the key to the city. So after receiving the key to the city, they head back to the hideout where they livestream Dewey Do Night and get interrupted by Gosling, who easily finds out where they are both from the recording and the small traces from Darkwing's smoke bombs containing salt water from the bay. And I'm just gonna flat out say it, but how many kids in this show are gonna have this genius complex? Because if she's Webby, then... And if she's Webby, and if he's Webby, then who's the real Squidward? Because not every single character in this show should be a genius, but I mean, it is kinda cool to see her be that intelligent. On a serious note, however, at least we're gonna more than likely have another Jade from Jackie Chan Adventures in most of these scenarios, with Gosling being able to kick just as much butt as Darkwing, yet at the same time Darkwing does his best to protect her, when in reality she's indestructible basically. Now once again, Bulba didn't build the Ramrod, however Gosling's grandfather Professor Waddlemeyer did. He's a character who was told to be killed off in the original Darkwing, also due to the Ramrod machine, only in the reboot they reveal him to be merely stuck inside of another dimension. And it's truly coincidental how Bulba takes his appearance from the Kingpin, since they both endanger the Earth with a machine that could potentially affect the world's very reality. Even the Collider from Spider-Man also could transport people to other dimensions. Waddlemeyer tries to warn Bulba of just how unstable it is, and from what it seems, Bulba more than likely threw him in to cover his tracks. I mean, him and Bradford sure as heck shoved the triplets and Scrooge in there as if it was nothing, that's for sure. Also notice that whenever they're thrown inside of the portal, it ends up being their original 1987 series timeline. Proof is Scrooge bursting the famous lines, "A sea monster ate my ice cream," over and over again while hopping on a table. This is him reenacting the events of episode 28's A Whale of a Bad Time.
A sea monster ate my ice cream! A sea monster ate my ice cream! A sea monster ate my ice cream!
Before I skip all over the place a bit too much, Bradford is officially labeled by the triplets as a villain in this scene, when before they were just simply suspicious of his secretive actions. Especially after his wild rant about how their adventures cause unnecessary havoc, and this reminds me of the government taking over the Avengers and their way of fighting justice in Avengers Captain America Civil War, which is basically about how despite the heroes doing their best and making sure the world isn't in peril, technically most events would never have even happened if it were not for their curiosity and their adventurous mindsets. Back to Gosling explaining to everyone at the hideout about her grandfather's invention though. At first, Darkwing finds it hard to accept that Bulba is actually a villain in disguise, especially after he congratulated Darkwing for his heroic actions. But thankfully, Launchpad is there to encourage Darkwing to at least give her a chance, all while Dewey expresses how he needed a friend to help him search for the person he so dearly cares for, being his mother. He even references how he can be her Webby, meaning that he can be the one who fights with her in order to uncover the truth, even when everyone else believes otherwise. So knowing deep down what the right thing is to do, Darkwing brings Gosling along in order for the three of them to face off against Bulba again together, ending in Bulba suffering from a backfire from the machine due to its instability, which may or may not have been a callback to his original reincarnated design as a cyborg, with his robotic eye being indeed located on his right eye. The gang eventually have to head back and retreat after Gosling nearly falls off to the ground before Darkwing is able to save her with his now slightly improved cape gliding, thanks to Gosling making some last minute adjustments. While alone inside, however, this gives Bulba the opportunity to unleash the villains of Darkwing Duck, mainly to lure Darkwing and keep everyone else away from the Ramrod as he operates it. Darkwing is reasonably intimidated when first hearing the news of Launchpad's dream coming to life, but still manages to pull it together in the end. And once he sees that his plan becomes a success, Bulba runs into Bradford, who originally assigned Bulba to simply cracks the Lego circuit for Fowl to use it. Alright, now, the code for cracking the circuit could be like the original Darkwing Duck series, where the grandfather supposedly sings Gosling the code every evening before she goes off to bed. Because a potential hint of this is after Darkwing's failed attempt at fighting Quackerjack, Darkwing and the rest decide to head back and get some rest. And due to Darkwing searching countless nights talking with Fenton, who ironically is Gizmo Duck, about the Ramrod and possibly getting the professor back, right before Gosling puts Darkwing to bed, she hums an awfully familiar tune.
Close your eyes, little girl blue. Inside of you lies a rainbow. Yellow, blue, red, blue, purple too. Blue, purple, and green, then the yellow.
Now, though it may not seem to be in the exact key, the melody certainly sounds about the same. In the middle of the night, Darkwing stupidly goes alone to face Bulba after getting notification of the Ramrod powering up for the final time, only to get immediately wrecked. So Launchpad and Goslin step in and disguise themselves as miscellaneous Darkwing villains named Jambalaya Jake, and Bug Master. Thankfully they're able to help Darkwing before he too gets sucked into an alternate dimension. And unlike the fighting sequence with Bulba previously, I really enjoyed this fight scene because the first one included Bulba standing around most scenes without much movement. Surely I wasn't the only one thinking that. I mean, I feel as if this scene saved some of the team's animation budget, but who am I to judge? Also, while they duke it out, you can hear Launchpad and Drake utter literal references and episode titles from the original Darkwing series.
This is just like episode 3.
Beauty and the Beat. We could really use an episode 21 right now.
Just Us Justice Ducks. Underrated crossover episode.
But a real fan favorite.
In the end, Goslin faces the cruel reality of having to destroy the machine or else their universe could rip apart. And directly afterwards, Scrooge and the gang face their reality that there's a much bigger threat, even more dangerous than the things they faced in the past, called Foul. Sure, they faced Foul before, but I'm definitely pretty sure that it's more dangerous than ever now. And from this point on, I can only wonder how the relationship between the Vultures and Scrooge will be, and if Scrooge's finances will topple or merely improve even without their help controlling his financial expenses. In the meantime, Drake decides to practically adopt Goslin and have her be his new sidekick, and I swear Disney is lining up these reboots behind our backs. They even settled the debate about how Launchpad can be in both DuckTales Adventures and Darkwing Duck ones. He says that during the day he can be in Duckburg, on his way to St. Canard he can be asleep because he's Launchpad, and at night he can spend his time in St. Canard. Now, one thing that raised an eyebrow for me after watching this was mentioning of how he knows geniuses as well. Probably hinting how even though the professor managed to get stuck into another dimension, I personally believe that someone like Gyro can help with that situation. This guy hasn't been seen too much this season, and this dude was the one who invented a bath time machine. Plus, the villains were sucked back into the machine as well, and there's no way that this is their only appearance, right? Just think about it. And as a matter of fact, think about the past few years with Disney lately. Just look at them, fueling up their profits, feeding off of our beautiful nostalgia, sometimes even only disappointing us in the end, but you get the picture. But with all that being said, I'm pretty much rambling random junk at this point. Thank you all once again so much for watching this beautiful, long, excruciatingly hugely massive analysis, and I very much do apologize if I sounded as if I was all over the place with this analysis. I mean, I tried my very best to combine everything that was within this episode. It was just humongous. So thank you all once again for participating in another The Next Big Thing video. I got my comment sections back because ain't nobody got time for that. And like this video if you liked it, subscribe to The Next Big Thing if you still haven't for some strange reason, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace!
Nice night.
Boy, if you don't